You will not believe we saw a trend and how people aspire to wear, what Bollywood celebrities are wearing. I think this movie came, Alia Bhatt's movie, where she danced wearing a sari on a hilltop, and suddenly people wanted the exact same look. Sari ke niche sneakers pehne hai, and you will not believe within 48 hours brands started editing their images and against a hill backdrop जहाँ बर्फ पड़ रही है और किसी ने साड़ी पहनी हुई मॉडल ने और वो स्नीकर्स के साथ फोटोशूट लगाई हुई है. So that's how fast trends have become. And for us, when we say we call ourselves fast fashion brand, is that when we see a trend, we spot a trend, we get it immediately available to the consumer through our platform. So that's what fast fashion is.
Folks, welcome to Paisa Paisa. I'm your host Anupam Gupta, B50 on Twitter, and on today's episode, we are doing a sub-series on how businesses work. Very exciting brand today. My guest, Sidhant Keshwani, founder and CEO of ethnic fashion brand Libas. We are going to talk about how fashion brands for women work, marketing, brand, strategy, and much more. Sidhant, welcome to Paisa Paisa. Thank you so much for doing this for our listeners. We've never had a fashion brand on our show, that much is to for sure. Uske upar ethnic, uske upar for women. So, thanks for doing this. Let's start with, your journey or how this all began.
I've seen a lot of your episodes, and I was also surprised that I'm being invited for something like this because...
So I think that, like I was telling that we love to understand how businesses work. And yours is like we were talking before the show, it's almost like a startup. Hardly 10 years old, but over to you here.
So, we've had an exciting journey, and the brand also has evolved over the years. So I'll start with how I started. So how the idea of doing Libas or e-commerce started was back in the day when I was in college. I was studying in the University of Manchester in 2009, 10, 11. And I was doing economics, and by choice I wanted to be an investment banker back in the day. And but while we were studying there 3 years, we actually saw a trend amongst all of us friends कि हम कुछ भी हमें अगर लेना है, we were actually from buying a toothbrush to a shaving kit. Like while studying, I think we were more on Amazon than we were reading our books, right? I was like, this is an obsession or an addiction rather, and it had not even started in India back in the day. I think only Flipkart was the only e-commerce channel that was available. Amazon had not even come into the country that time. So by default, wanted to do something in the space of e-commerce. So I said, let's not miss the boat, because like most businesses, we've seen that एक trend जो बाहर चलना शुरू होता है, धीरे-धीरे India आता है, suddenly it booms here as well, right? So I wanted to catch that bus. Didn't waste any time. Graduated in 2012. Came back. Of course, wanted to do e-commerce. So first problem was to figure out what to sell on e-commerce, right? Like कुछ तो बेचना है, और उस टाइम पे e-commerce का मतलब होता था कि कोई चाइना से प्रोडक्ट ले आओ, यहाँ पे e-commerce पे ऑनलाइन फ्लिपकार्ट पे लगा दो और वो बिक जाएगा. Obviously didn't want to do that. So I chose fashion as a category because family comes from a background of fashion. I have grown up, so I know कपड़ा कैसे बनता है, क्या है. I've seen the manufacturing side of business. So by default I said कि यार एक headache कम होगी अगर supply में मैंने product वही ले लिया जो which is doing well. So decided to do fashion, and that's where the journey started. I had a couple of failed startups as well. Because I was trying to be too ahead of time. So I did this D2C trend, tried to follow that जो इंडिया और पूरे वर्ल्ड में कहीं था नहीं उस टाइम पे. I decided to launch my own website. So this is back in 2012-13.
Okay.
So I said कुछ नया करते हैं, and पहले लॉन्च करी 2 महीने 3 महीने यहाँ नहीं चली. पता ही नहीं था, वेबसाइट बना ली 3 महीने में. अब ये नहीं पता कि इस पे कस्टमर कैसे आता है. स्टोर में तो आपने स्टोर खोला, अगले दिन से वॉक इन हो रहा है, आपकी सेल चालू. यहाँ पे वेबसाइट बना ली, 3, 4, 6 महीने लगाए वेबसाइट बनाने में. पूरी रिसर्च करी, क्या प्रोडक्ट बिकेगा, व्हाट टू सेल, व्हाट नॉट टू सेल, एक्सेट्रा. डिड दैट रिसर्च. नो कस्टमर्स, नो बायर्स, नो टेकर्स. D2C तो वर्ड डिक्शनरी में नहीं था उस टाइम पे. आई थिंक ये तो अभी कोविड का वर्ड है. आई थिंक जस्ट 1 or 2 years before that. So that didn't do well. Spent 6 months trying to get traffic, spent money, burnt my hands. I said let's go the traditional way. अब स्टॉक तो बना लिए, एक काम करते हैं, मार्केट प्लेसेस पे लगाते हैं. एटलीस्ट को तो ख़त्म करेंगे, फिर देखेंगे कि क्या बिजनेस बनाना है. अभी ये तो नहीं चल रहा है e-commerce में. So started listing the same products that I made for my website. I started listing it across Myntra's, Flipkart's.
This is the same ethnic fashion.
This is the same ethnic fashion.
And you had thought of the word Libas then.
So that time the name was different.
Okay, sure.
So this was a different name. That was more custom made. So we named it My Master Ji. We wanted to make customized Indian wear for people online. So that was the trend. So clearly that didn't work. So we said कि अब Master Ji वाला concept तो नहीं चल रहा. Let's sell on these marketplaces. Let's get rid of the stock, and then we'll see कि क्या business करना है.
Okay.
सारी inventory उठाई, Myntra पे लगाई. I think we had like 1,000 pieces of inventory that we had made.
Sure.
First day, 120 orders.
Wow, 10%
on Myntra,
gone straight away.
Flipkart. 10% gone in day one.
Wow.
I was like, यार ये अच्छा कर रहा है. फिर दूसरे दिन again another 70-80 orders करते कराते. Within, I think, the first week we were left with only 50 to 100 pieces.
Wow.
It was like, this business definitely has potential. I think now we have cracked. So वहाँ से our journey started. And
you said that you sold on a platform.
Yeah.
And now you've got your own website.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the role of e-commerce. I mean, I'm glad that you picked this up in 2013, 2014. You spoke about how you started with My Master G, became Libas somewhere during the way.
Yeah.
What's been the role of e-commerce for you, and how have you figured that out along the way?
So, like I said, D2C as a word did not exist that time, right? So, हमारे लिए e-commerce का मतलब उस टाइम पे अपनी वेबसाइट नहीं था. It was, e-commerce means marketplaces.
Platform,
List on Flipkart, Amazon, Myntra. And that was the obvious choice. That's how we launched our products. We launched on these platforms. We gained some great success within 1 year. And that time there was no competition. There were a handful of 5-10 brands in our category as compared to now where there are like 10,000. So we were of course dominating first. Within 6 months, we were the biggest bestseller.
What was your product range at that time? The same thing as you do today, or was it slightly different then?
So of course it was much smaller. We've actually evolved over the years. And so that time, interesting question, that I'll tell you about the product. So us time pe we were solving a different problem. We said that online means people have to come and buy again and again. So we need a product which is not a once a year purchase. Like Indian wear, people think कि सूट है, साड़ी है, सिर्फ शादी में पहनना है. We didn't want that, right? So that's where we evolved. We said, firstly, we need to make more trendy clothes, something that you wear to office and you're confident wearing Indian wear to an office, college, and it should be more in trend. That's where the concept of fast fashion came for us. And we selected a product which was, say, a kurta or a suit that you would, wear to office, etc. That's how we started as a brand. And by default, our price points were such that it was a product which people would buy again and again. So that's how the journey really started for us.
Women only from day one.
We've been women only since day one till today, and probably for a few. I mean, as long as foreseeable future. Exactly.
Okay, go on, please.
Yeah. So launched there, and then of course comes 2017-18, where D2C word was invented, and people had started getting confidence in buying on direct websites as well. Because पहले ऐसा नहीं था, people were not there, customer was still buying online, but confidence level was increasing slowly. It was not there in the early 2013s and 14s. Comes 2018-19, people have now very confident, comfortable with the whole return process. They know about the brand. That's when we launched our own website and technically became a D2C brand in today's language. Now D2C is one of our fastest growing channels, and now since after COVID we decided to go offline as well, and we started opening stores. We did shop in shops like Shopper Stop, etc. And that's how our journey evolution has been. So today how we position ourselves is, we are a pure fast fashion Indian wear brand where we don't work on a seasonal basis. We work on trend basis. Any new trend on social media, we would be the first one to get it to market.
Wow.
So it's like that.
Okay. I want to understand one thing. What is the difference between going via the Mintras and the Ajios or whatever, a platform or a marketplace, versus going on your own? I mean, the first is obviously the cost involved, in the sense that what kind of chunk do these guys take, and which is not the case with you, and any other differences out there, like on the back end logistics?
I'll tell you today what happens is that when, say, younger people who strive to kind of, who desire to start a new brand, start a new business, they obviously look at the more trending things, right? For example, back in the day in 2014, marketplaces were trending. 2018-19, direct to websites were trending. 2021-22, omni channel is trending. So by default, कोई business अगर 21-22 में आ रहा तो वो बोलता है मुझे omni channel बनाना है. 2 साल पहले आता था वो बोलता था D2C बनाना है, अपनी वेबसाइट पे बेचूंगा, मार्केटप्लेस में मेरा ब्रांड डाइल्यूट हो जाएगा. So I advise a lot of startups. I invest in a few startups. So because they come from it, I hear from them, they come from a completely different thought, and I always tell them the opposite. कि यार अपनी वेबसाइट पे तुम्हें कस्टमर खुद बनाना है. इट्स रियली एक्सपेंसिव टुडे, इट्स वेरी टाइम कंज्यूमिंग. Whereas you go on a marketplace, it's like you're going into a mall where there are 10,000 people always shopping.
Correct.
So why not go there first, build a brand, sell your product, and then give them the confidence to come and buy from you directly. So that's how it's evolved over the years. So it's not like logistically, it's just that of course marketplaces help you. So in the early days, if you don't have any experience, they'll help you with the logistics, they'll help you with warehousing, they'll help you in supply, everything end to end. In D2C, you have to learn everything from scratch, and most startups take time, right? And you can't be everywhere in the early days. So for me, it's an obvious choice to go with marketplaces first.
Okay. Phenomenal growth, right? I mean, I just read somewhere that you've got sales of 600 crores now. Is that
500 something, yes.
500 crores? Are you serious? In
Yeah.
10 years? Amazing, yeah.
So it has been a journey, and see, we actually come from a very disciplined school of thoughts because we never understood the idea of burning money. We never understood the idea of first acquiring the customer and then trying to make money. We actually took धंधा as धंधा since day one. कि अगर 100 रुपये का माल है तो उसको 120 रुपये में बेचना ही है और 10 रुपये के खर्चे हैं तो 10 रुपये कमाने हैं. मतलब that was always the logic of doing business. I think, and we've done that, by the way, bootstrapped completely. We raised our first round just last month.
When you've already reached a certain size.
We reached a certain size, and yeah.
10 years, whatever, 2013 to 2024, you've got sales of like 500 crores. How has that journey been? And if I were to ask you, like, in your revenue heads, do you have like just one category which is garments, or is there anything else? How would you break that down?
So we are purely a women apparel brand, and I think the journey, we've evolved over the years. Like I said, we started with a niche of targeting women who go to office, then selling only kurtas, then moved on to a fast fashion brand where we said that we'll focus and we'll be the fastest to kind of get trends. And you know, actually, I think I get this question asked a lot, that how did you build a brand so fast in a very cluttered space? Because today, I think clothing is one business that every second they say, I mean sorry to say, nobody minds it, but they say कि जिसको कुछ नहीं आता वो end में वो कपड़ा बेचना शुरू कर देता है because it's the easiest
and
business,
there's nothing
right?
wrong with that. I mean,
yeah.
Obviously, yeah.
And it's like how they say, right, that in the old days, roti kapda makan has been going on for like hundreds of years, and these are the three businesses which has no barrier to entry, right? You can start a restaurant tomorrow, you can become a real estate dealer tomorrow, and you can start a clothing shop in one day, and there is no barrier to entry.
Sure.
So we actually sat on the drawing board and said, yeah, we are selling in a space. Today there are 100 brands in the e-commerce space, and tomorrow there'll be 1,000, then 10,000, then 1 lakh. That's how it's going to be the journey, and people will forget us. So how do we always stay ahead of the curve? So we actually said, yeah, we need a core USP. We don't want to be called a fashion brand. We are not a tech product. We are not a fashion product. Let's have a USP. So we actually picked up a word which we felt was very relevant, which was speed. So we said we are going to be a brand who's going to be known for its speed. Speed means in every domain, whether it's designing, getting the new trend that has been launched in the West, getting that to the market first, then production should be the fastest, delivery should be the fastest. So we actually take small project within the organization and solve it कि इसमें speed कैसे लेकर आना है. 4 लोगों को कमरे में बंद करो, shoots होने में 7 दिन लग रहे हैं, इसको 1 दिन में कैसे लेकर आना है, सबको कमरे में डालो और कमरे से तभी बाहर निकलना है जब 24 hours का tag define हो जाए. So we solved small things for speed. And I think from that angle, we became a fast fashion, now aspiring to become an ultra fast fashion brand, where we'll be one of the only brands in the Indian wear space in the country who aspires to launch like 400 to 500 new designs every week. So that is our aspiration over the next 2 years. We've already reached 100 this year, hoping to do 200 next year. And that's how fast we want to bring new trends to our consumers.
I wanted to just explain how this works. Like when you say fast fashion, what exactly is that? If you could just, I don't know, help us with an example so that our audience understands that.
So how fashion has been available to us over the last 30, 40, 50 years is that you must have heard कि ये spring summer collection है और ये मेरी autumn winter collection है.
Correct.
आप summer में जाओगे तो आपको spring summer collection मिलेगी, autumn winter में जाओगे. And this plan for making these designs or merchandise used to start 2 years in advance. कि बाहर मिलान फैशन वीक, पेरिस फैशन वीक होता था, वहाँ से हमारे डिज़ाइनर्स लेकर आते थे, डिज़ाइनर्स से मीडियम प्रीमियम ब्रांड लाते थे, फिर मास ब्रांड लाते थे. दैट वाज द होल लाइफ साइकिल ऑफ ब्रिंगिंग अ प्रोडक्ट, एंड द लाइफ साइकिल वाज 2 years. So people used to plan their collection 1.5, 2 years in advance. Come today where because of social media, जो किसी ने बाहर हॉलीवुड ने पहना है, that same content is available to somebody sitting in a small town like Indore, and he has the access and he wants to wear the exact same thing that a celebrity is wearing in the US within 24 hours as compared to 1 or 2 years.
24 hours?
Within 24 hours they aspire to it, right?
Wow.
You see a fashion trend, you will start searching, क्या मुझे कुछ चाहिए ऐसा. But you will not believe we saw a trend and how people aspire to wear, you know, what Bollywood celebrities are wearing. I think this movie came, Alia Bhatt's movie, where she danced wearing a sari on a hilltop. and suddenly people wanted the exact same look, साड़ी के नीचे sneakers पहने हैं, and you will not believe within 48 hours brands started editing their images and against a hill backdrop जहाँ बर्फ पड़ रही है और किसी ने साड़ी पहनी हुई मॉडल ने और वो sneakers के साथ फोटोशूट लगाई हुई है. So that's how fast trends have become.
Okay.
And for us, when we say we call ourselves fast fashion brand, is that when we see a trend, we spot a trend, we get it immediately available to the consumer through our platform. So that's what fast fashion is. We don't wait कि पहले widespread होगा तब करेंगे. We'll be the fast one. Some trends work, some don't. Some actually scale up really well, and some probably don't. So we don't continue to make them. So that's how the journey is.
Yeah, Sidhant, I want to understand this. Okay, now last week I went to see Bad News. Okay, this Bollywood movie that's been there, and you're saying that if I saw, like, yeah, I can understand that Toba step देखा reel बन गया. That though is, it just takes a mobile phone and you dance with that and that's kind of done. How does it work in clothes? Like if I see the actress, Tripti Dimre here, by the way, who did a great job, if she's wearing something and boom, let's say my wife or my girlfriend, whoever, says that I want that. Over to you here. How does this work?
So, like you rightly said, Toba became an instant hit, right? I think probably some 100 million views in very few days. So definitely people have seen what Vicky Kaushal and Tripti Dimri are wearing in that video, right? And by default, people aspire. There will be an audience, 1%, 2%, 5%, who aspire to wear what probably Vicky Kaushal was wearing and what Tripti Dimri was wearing. Now you will see that today, पहले क्या होता था concept of लॉन्चिंग अ न्यू कलेक्शन कि हम 6 महीने बैठ के मूड बोर्ड बनाते थे कि ऐसे अगले सीजन में या 2 सीजन बाद ये ट्रेंड में शायद होगा, ये कलर ऑफ द ईयर है, इसका मूड बोर्ड बनाते हैं, उसके हिसाब से करते हैं. फास्ट फॉरवर्ड टू नाउ, फास्ट फैशन ब्रांड्स लाइक अस, हमारी लाइफ की सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम ये है दैट इफ आई डीएक्टिवेट माई इंस्टाग्राम फॉर 2 days आई विल बी एक्चुअली बैकवर्ड. आई वोंट नो इफ आई एम गोइंग इन द राइट डायरेक्शन और नॉट. आई हैव टू पिक अप a trend, immediately put it circulate through our WhatsApp groups कि यार ये चल रहा है एकदम से, and everybody in the team, and the contribution is not just the design team with this, everybody has to be active. Whoever spots a new trend, because it's a fight, right? Like we were discussing earlier कि कल ये चल रहा था, आज ये चल रहा है, and it's an ever changing. पहले fashion 2 साल में change होता था, अब every 30 days, every 15 days something new is coming up. And today people, social media is actually guiding our lives. I mean, every decision making in today's, everything that we do in our daily lives is in some way, whether we realize it or not, is influenced through social media. It is something as small as कि मम्मा ने आज कोई रील देख ली कि खाने में ये अच्छा होता है हेल्थ के लिए, तो अगले दिन ब्रेकफास्ट में हमें वो मिलेगा. और वही सेम चीज़ परसों किसी ने बोल दी कि हेल्थ के लिए अच्छी नहीं है, तो परसों से वो मेन्यू से भी. I'll give you a small example. I was going on a diet. I started having coconut water every day. So for 15 days, every day, instead of tea, coffee, I was cutting down on tea and coffee. I said, जब भी मेरे को coffee पीने का मन करेगा, I'll have a coconut water. 15 days later, a reel comes on my phone. 21 दिन रोज नारियल पानी पी लो, आपकी पूरी जेब खाली हो जाएगी.
अच्छा.
I was like, I mean, everything that you're doing is somehow getting influenced by. So same is with fashion.
But thankfully, fashion doesn't have a harmful side, right? I mean, at least the
of course, absolutely.
Unless it's harmful to your pocket or something.
No, of course. So my idea was telling you that how much we are carefully recording or probably in letting social media influence our lives so much is unbelievable. So I think that's how fashion trends are evolving so fast. But today my mood board, my design, my designer, everything is Instagram. अगर वो नहीं है तो कुछ नहीं है.
I have to ask you then right now, what's hot right now?
Very good question. Very good question. So these days there's a trend of quad sets, where I'm sure you would have heard. It's something that has been going on for 6 months.
Beyond my age group, so let me not give my views on that. I know they're very hot.
Yeah.
When I saw them first, I told my wife, "Ye to
night
suit hai."
Not just for women, for men as well.
Yeah, no, yaar.
But technically, if you're wearing a black hoodie and a black pant, that's a quad set.
I like that you're. Okay, go on. Sure.
So. पहले when we used to design, we used to be like कि अगर हम ऊपर भी same print डालेंगे, नीचे भी same print डालेंगे, it will look so weird, it will just merge. And suddenly that's the only thing in trend today. Everybody wants to wear that. And it's unbelievable.
It's not
that
going. It's there.
It's there. Yeah, it's not going.
It's not
Some
going at
fashion.
all.
I thought that it's a 3-month thing, 4-month thing. Ab 1 saal ho chuka hai. It's not moving.
Okay.
Today, people, that's still the highest in demand, the highest searched keyword on the website, more than our brand on our website. Abhi hamare brand even on platforms like
Wow.
say Myntra and all,
Huh.
brand searches are lesser than category searches like these. You know, when something is in trend. Aisi same trend was there
Wow.
6 months back. Like I told you, sari with sneakers was the trend.
Huh.
So people wanted to see looks where somebody is wearing a sari with sneakers and they wanted to buy that.
Quads, what else?
So layering is something that has been really in trend. Like if you see, I'm also layering, right? So that's been in trend. That for example, you wear a
देखो,
kurta.
नहीं पता है क्या है. Please help me. What is this?
मतलब layering means कि आपने कुछ भी पहना है, उसके ऊपर एक और layer चढ़ा दी just to
Layer.
get. So yeah. So just make another.
Sorry, go
just
on.
have
Yeah,
another
yeah,
layer
okay.
of kind of.
Layering.
So that's in trend.
Anything from Bollywood?
Sarees again. By the way, Amani wedding was the biggest mood board for us,
There
right?
you go.
उससे बड़ा तो
There
कोई
you
mood
go.
board ही नहीं था.
हाँ.
What people were wearing, sarees was actually a very hit thing. So again, people are now that the festive season is coming, it's around the corner.
Yeah.
We are seeing that sari trends are suddenly picking up. Everybody is saying sari do, sari do, sari do. So we are on that track to kind of do R&D on sarees now.
Sidhant, so we covered the fashion trends part and how that works. Let's talk about the brick and mortar stuff, or rather the building blocks of your business. You know, we had the revenue part. What's happening on the cost side? Like, for example, how large is your team? How many designers do you have? What are your major cost centers? If you can help us with that.
Now with offline coming in and of course online we've been doing for good 8-9 years, our team sizes have increased, especially majorly because offline there's a front end and then in e-commerce there's a back end, plus there is warehouses, etc. So today our team strength is somewhere 1,000 plus is where we stand today.
Okay.
And major cost centers are, for example, we have a good customer care team where online orders, people always have questions, right? I was discussing with somebody in the flight that, as he was telling me, some person I met in the flight, that why don't you automate this? Why in today's time, why do you need a 50 people customer care team? I said today people, especially in our country, when they're spending money, right, they want to talk to somebody. They are not happy just talking to bots or taking answers from bots. They need that physical presence or somebody to tell them कि यार आपका order आ जाएगा, आप stress मत लो, या आपका पैसा refund हो जाएगा, आप stress मत लो. So suddenly when you hear that from somebody, that your confidence increases. So as a brand, we are known for trust, right? So that's how we've evolved. We've always said that, for us, it's important, especially when somebody is buying you online, trust is a very, very important role. So that's what we play on. And apart from customer care, there are multiple other cost centers also, like for example, logistics, having a end-to-end robust warehousing is extremely important. Like I said, for us, speed is important, right? And warehousing and logistics are actually one of the most important factors to ensure that we reach the customers as fast or probably faster than what other people do. So these are majorly our cost centers, and that's how we've and all the teams have kind of evolved over the years. We've evolved our processes, etc.
Marketing, okay, because
Interesting.
yeah, you've got to keep track of all the trends. You've got to be really quick with responding and having the right thing at the right time, being sold to the right person also these days. That's what matters. So just walk us through how marketing strategy and how all of that works, and help us with a campaign that you can share with us that has really worked.
I'll tell you, we actually market Indian wear in a very different way as compared to what you would have seen with other brands. You would have seen those old traditional ways, sari with slow music in gold palaces, etc. Right? That's how people perceived Indian wear or ethnic wear rather. And since day one, our approach was that this is Indian wear. If you want to make it relevant in the next 10, 15, 20 years, you have to look at it from a different light. You have to talk about Indian wear like it's the most trending thing. It's very fashionable. You have to talk to the younger audiences the way they want to hear you. So our strategy has been different. So what we do normally is that we keep a very young, fresh outlook towards marketing. In fact, we did our first celebrity brand campaign 2 years back, and we got Sara Ali Khan as the brand ambassador. The shoot was very young, very fashionable, not talking more about product, but talking about a lifestyle that we are trying to bring to the consumer. That how being a fast fashion brand, so that time the problem statement was we wanted to tell the young consumer that no matter what the occasion might be, whether it's office, college, or going for a party or a Diwali party or even a wedding, the libas has everything. So we named the campaign called There's Always a Libas. And it was an instant hit because we actually engaged with influencers to do content, and we got some crazy ideas, young influencers talking about it and coming up with their own innovative ideas. And the tagline was, "There's always a libas." They were saying, "Office jao ya grocery run, there's always a libas. Book padhne jao, school jao." There were like 10,000 different things that were happening.
Where did this air?
Across social media channels.
Okay.
So the TVC that we did was airing across OTT channels as well. It was the first TVC that we ever did, and it did extremely well for us. Then just this year, just 2 months back, we launched our new campaign with Kiara Advani. Again, if you see the campaign, it's very young. We wanted to target the Gen Z crowd. We had used fusion Indian wear stuff, more more relatable to younger audiences. And so those have been a few marketing campaigns that we've done.
Where, I mean, if I were to make a pie chart as to where does this go? Like one you said is TV commercials on OTT platforms. I'm sure that you
So
don't...
when we say TVC, we actually mean OTT
Web.
these days,
Let's just
in
call it
today's
web.
time.
Let's call
Exactly.
it web. Okay.
So we don't use the traditional ways of TV, news, hoardings, etc. too much for marketing. Being a digital first brands, most of our avenues are digital, and digital means YouTube, digital means OTT like Hotstar, Amazon, etc. And of course our Facebook and Instagram ads that kind of are in.
So let's say that someone in the audience is listening in right here, right now and saying, यार देखो मेरे पास तो उतना बजट है नहीं, आप सारा अली खान बोल रहे हो, कियारा आडवाणी बोल रहे हो, मतलब मेरा तो एनुअल सेल्स ही नहीं है उतना to even afford that kind of a so what should I do? Like he does the same thing. Let's say that he's selling something similar, much smaller size. What's your advice to him or her of marketing? Because I would assume that for fast fashion, something as important as being seen, marketing plays a very important role. So what's your advice?
See, it's very simple. I mean, for the first 8 years, we didn't take the celebrity route. We were working in today's time. Actually, there is so much that you can do with marketing. Social media on its own, like you can be your own influencer, right? Today, I think the best content is when the founder is actually coming in front of the camera and talking and selling their product. Even if it's hard sell, people don't care because they know that it's their product. It's not a salesman selling, it's actually the founder selling their product, right?
Can't apply to you, na? You're not a woman, first of all.
So exactly.
Anyway, but I get what you're saying.
So I'm saying that, and this was not relevant back in the day as much as it is today, right? I mean, people want real life content. People want more relatable content. Like we've seen that there was a study done and we experimented in our case as well. There was 80 to 90% more engagement when we used more real life photo shoots as compared to what was shot on a model or a celebrity. That's how people want more relatable content. And my advice to most young entrepreneurs would be that, there are so many young influencers, it's about creating quality content, and that's what people want. People don't necessarily want a known face. They want good quality content because they will give you only a 10-second of, their mind space. And if your content is not good, they'll just swipe up. So
okay, influencers, collabs, partnerships, how do you guys see this and how do you guys use this?
So again, so with now when the space has become so cluttered, there are like 10,000 plus people you can work with or do collabs with, right? And it sometimes of course becomes difficult at who's relevant, who's not relevant, who has real followers, who has fake followers, who has good engagement, who has bad engagement. So for us, how we look at it is that we have a separate team now, influencer, because this is actually one of the biggest marketing channels for us today on a regular basis. So what we do is we create a pool of say 50 or 100 new influencers every month. Out of that 50, 100, then we start seeing the relevance, engagement, which is more fashion, high on lifestyle. And we shortlist out of those, experiment, do one campaign. Say 10 out of 6 campaigns do well, 4 or 5 don't do well, we stop working with those, and the 6 that are doing well, we'll end up making a much bigger engagement with them over the next 6 months. So it's an exploration process where you have to keep trying new things, but you should know the influencer, that the person, like the way they are talking or the tone that influencer is talking to their consumers should be aligned with what you speak as a brand, right? So that's what we are particular about when we actually go and work with influencers.
And how much of your marketing budget should you allocate there? I'm not asking for a specific number, but does this increase over a period of time? How do you manage it? Anything there?
See, like I said, today social media is everything, right? So any marketing spend that you do, and I still feel in our country, it's still the cheapest form of marketing. No matter how much the rates might be going up for influencers, etc., we are still at a very early stage. I think we've not even touched the 10% potential
Wow.
in our country, and we've seen that outside. There are influencers selling. We've heard in China selling $1 billion worth of lipstick out of one live commerce show, right? That's the
It's
potential,
insane,
and we are not even at 1 or 2% at the moment, right? So I think majority of in the initial phase, 60 to 70% of your budget should go there, according to me.
Okay, cool. Future plans.
So future plan, interesting. Like I already told you, we are evolving from a fast fashion to an ultra fast fashion brands. We want to bring newer trends, much faster, more trends, more number of options, and offline is going to be a very exciting journey for us over the next few years. We aspire to open about 200 stores over the next 2 years, and spend more on supply chain and tech to kind of create a completely seamless fast fashion experience for the consumer.
Okay, I totally forgot to ask about funding. I mean, what's the scene out there? You guys, are you bootstrapped? Do you have anybody big, or how does that work?
So for the first 9.5, 10 years of our business, we were completely
What do you say? 10 years you
Yeah.
build that entire top line, that revenue without any funding?
Absolutely.
Wow,
So
okay.
we were completely bootstrapped. We raised our first round just last month. We closed our round, and that also honestly, because see, we come from a very different school of thought, right? We've been disciplined since day one that 100 रुपये का अगर माल है तो 120 रुपये का बेचना है, तो धंधा वैसे ही बनता है. And I think that's what I tell most new entrepreneurs also, that don't look at what's happening today. Go back 20-30 years, how your father used to do business, how your grandfather used to do business. Logics business के आज भी नहीं change होंगे. So I'm stick to those logics and discipline yourself. So what actually helped us in bootstrapping was कि उन्होंने discipline सिखा दिया कि कभी भी you should not overstep your boundaries. If your product is selling, it will sustain. If it's not selling, you need a new product. You don't need money. So that was the philosophy since day one. And now when we felt that our product is selling, the only way we can accelerate is a little bit of money. So why spend 5-6 more years to do something that you can do in 2 years? And that's the reason we raised our first round.
Now my most important question, okay, like really important. If this was my finance wala show, I would have asked for, maybe some book recommendation. You feel free to give a book recommendation.
I'm not a very great book reader, so I'll skip that question.
I have something different for you. Fashion advice. I'm going to give you 3 situations, and you have to give me 3 different outfits for women, including colors. Okay? Number 1, I'm going for an interview. Okay, I'm whatever, say 25 to 30 years old, maybe my first interview. What should I wear?
I think you should stick to your classics, pure black and white. Avoid distraction from your clothes, and so that the focus can be on you. So that would be my advice. It can be a nice silhouette, but stick to black and white, I feel, so that the focus should be on the interview for the interviewer also, and on you and your answers, rather than catchy colors or pop colors where you get distracted.
Between Western and ethnic, what would you go with?
Indian wear, for sure.
What would that look like?
That would, in today's term, maybe look like a quad set, which is more fusion and in nature.
Nice.
Fusion-ish kind of quad. Actually, I would go with fusion rather than Indian or Western. I would go with fusion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Situation 1. Now situation 2. Shadi.
Oh, Shadi.
Yeah, Shadi. And I'm not talking about the great wedding that happened recently. Just Shadi. Shadi. Let's just say, a big one, that's it.
So I would suggest to wear like a pink lehenga with nice gold embroidery. I mean, that would something that I would suggest, because the color really, brings a lot of pop, and it's a very happy color, I feel. So I think, and it's my daughter's favorite color, so I always suggest that. So
Pink lehenga?
Pink color is her favorite. So she's 4 years old, so she's never worn a lehenga, but that's her favorite color. So for women wear, I would always suggest that.
I'm feeling adventurous.
In terms of?
Same.
In terms
going
of
to
look.
the Shadi, and I want to see, a pink lehenga is probably a classic.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
I'm feeling adventurous.
Feeling adventurous, then you probably go with the very fancy. So today, more than colors, I think people play around with silhouettes, right? So you actually wear a lehenga or a layered silhouette or a gown, which is probably really experimental in nature, because today fashion, you can create so many experimental things, right? And we do that as well. Maybe it's just 5% of our collection, but we have audiences or consumers who kind of like that. So maybe a pop color, like an orange or a yellow, in a cut that is not something usual, and it's something new and exclusive to that day.
Okay. And last is clubbing. I'm just going out, maybe for a date, maybe to a party, maybe just for a dinner.
Dinners, we recommend fusion wear. Clubbing, maybe not so much. I think that's where you probably go with a. I'm actually a very black person, right? So I always suggest black dress or something. And by the way, my uniform to work is a plain black T-shirt. So that for the last 10 years, I've only worn one brand, one T-shirt to work for the last 10 years. So
for a guy who's selling, like, I don't know what's your SKU out there.
I see so much of colors and fashions there, right? So I want to keep myself simple. So
थोड़ा तो रंगीला बनाओ यार.
I'm wearing a colorful watch. I think that's the only color that you can see on me. So yeah.
Folks, there you go. 3 specific situations, 3 specific fashion advice. The website is libas.com. libas.com. Libas.in.
Yes.
Sorry, libas.in. I landed up there yesterday and I think I would have just spent half an hour. I just had to stop myself from buying because I wasn't sure whether my wife would really appreciate what my choices were. Sidhant, now that we are done with the whole business wala section, now we have a fun section in this sub-series, okay?
Sure.
We're going to talk about 3 things. The first is something that you really enjoy. I believe that you like single malts a lot. The second, which you've kind of covered in the main section, which is 3 pieces of advice for entrepreneurs. And the third is one fashion trend that would make a comeback. Okay, but let's go on this step by step. Single malts. I mean, were you always a single malt person? Is it an acquired taste? Why?
So actually not, honestly. So actually this whole passion started back in college. I remember, so under our accommodation, there used to be a grocery store downstairs, right? So by default, once a month we would drink, or sometimes every alternate Saturday or whatever, we would have a drink or two in our home and with friends, etc. Right? And what we used to do is, because of course everybody was low in budget on college, we had a specific budget, so our grocery store somehow had this separate section where for £19.99 you would always have a new bottle exclusive to that Saturday or that week, right?
Okay.
And coincidentally, by default, because we were saving a lot of money, we used to try a different one every time. That's how the journey started. And initially I was in Scotland once, where because all whiskies are coming out of Scotland, right? So I went for a whiskey tasting tour. And there are tours there that they expect you to blindfold you and to try a whiskey and say which one is it, right?
Oh.
And of course, उन्होंने try कराई. They said age try करके बताओ. So of course, I was new to it. हमें 12 साल वाली 18 साल वाली में कोई फर्क नहीं नजर आ रहा था. And I said, but this is an exciting passion to know. I should be able to smell or taste a whiskey and be able to tell. So I don't know, coincidentally, that's how the passion started. And every time I used to travel or I was here, I would pick up just any bottle. Like when I was in college, I used to come to India 3 or 4 times a year, right? So I would pick up something from a duty free, and slowly, I started building my collection of new things.
Top 3.
Oh, that's really difficult. But if I have to choose, my favorite would be a Balvenie 16, all-time favorite.
Wow.
That's then apart from that, we have Aberlour 12, again something that you can have on a regular basis. Then there's this another whiskey called Craigellachie 17, which is not very usual and something that you would have not seen in your regular bars, etc. But again, a beautiful one.
Why am I not hearing a Macallan here?
Macallan I've had too many times, so it's gone. I've grown out of the palate, and so the palate I've grown out of that palate.
I'm not even introducing a Glenmorangie or a Glen.
No, they are like Smirnoffs for us. Connoisseurs.
Nice comparison.
But yeah, so a lot of Indian ones are actually coming up, which is very exciting to see for the first time. We have brands like Indri, we have brands like Rampur, Paul John. Again, all beautiful whiskies. So,
Second question is 3 pieces of advice you would like to share with aspiring entrepreneurs looking to enter the industry, considering your own journey and your experiences in entrepreneurship. I know that you already answered this in a certain way, saying that, go back to how business was done, old school, old style, 100 ka cheez, 120 mein becho, 100 for 120. All that is, you have said that. Anything over and above that you would like to give as specific pieces of advice? You said that you also invest in startups, so when you see founders who come in, what's your advice to them?
See, I always tell my founders, what happens is when you start a business today, right, and when you get, say, 5, 10, 15 orders, you feel कि मेरा business बहुत अच्छा कर रहा है और अब कुछ और साथ इसी से मिलता जुलता है, let's start a new category, etc. And I see that a lot कि किसी ने अगर juices start कर दिए बेचने तो बोलेगा कि मुझे अब coffee भी बेचनी है, coffee start कर दी तो मुझे biscuit भी बेचना है, things like that. So I always advise them, firstly, when you're starting out, right, first 2-3 years, till you know कि यार एक potential है कि मैं 1 crore per month या 2 crore या 50 lakh, whatever that industry benchmark might be, you should have a focused approach because like you asked me, right, in some time back, yaar, why haven't you done menswear, right? So for me, why have I not done it? Because today, in a fight, in a time where it is so difficult to get a new consumer, if I don't filter my audience, like look at Facebook marketing.
Yeah.
You have to have a targeted marketing. Only then you will get a good customer who will actually buy, right?
Yeah.
If I choose both men and women, I'm actually speaking to almost 150 crore population.
Wow.
I just press women and become 75. So my 50% targeting is happening. So always tell them, have a more focused approach. You should know who you're selling to and what you're selling, and don't get diverted with 10 different products. First sell one, reach their capabilities, and then, move on to the others. That's definitely one advice. Other is, of course, for me, I think discipline is something that is very important. You don't need to raise funds to accelerate the business, to kind of make a business. You need funds to scale a business. So you should, if you're not able to sell your products, कि यार एक benchmark होना चाहिए. अगर मैं बिजनेस हमेशा घर से स्टार्ट करना चाहिए. आप प्रोडक्ट कोई बना रहे हो, इवन इफ इट्स अ टिश्यू बॉक्स, यू शुड फर्स्ट सेल 100 or you should take 100 orders within your organization without spending a single penny. और उसमें से अगर 20 लोग वापस नहीं आ रहे या 100 भी आप नहीं बेच पा रहे, so there is no money in the world which will help you sell that more. Change your business, change your product, and don't burn money in the early days. So I think these are few things that I would
fantastic, very useful. And where do these guys get the questions from? What is the one fashion trend you wish would make a comeback?
I'll tell you, I come from a very different universe. I think मेरे से आप पूछोगे ना who's working on trends on a daily basis, I would want that trend to come back जब fashion trends इतनी जल्दी change नहीं होते. So I want that trend to come back, honestly speaking. But honestly, if you talk about fashion trends, I mean, it's a cycle. If you'll see any fashion trend that you saw 10 years back, either it's come back or it'll come back again. So it's like a full circle. We've seen men's के लिए स्कूल में लोग बैगीज पहनते थे, अब दोबारा से वही बैगीज कार्गोज पहनने शुरू कर दिए. हमारे टाइम, when I started the business, that time kurta used to be actually the hot seller thing. Today people are back to kurta sets with dupattas. So it's a full cycle. I mean, these days again, I've seen those Jitendra kind of jeans coming back into trend. Those flary jeans and all, especially in women actually.
Wow.
So I'm saying, हर चीज़ की एक cycle है. कुछ भी आता है, जाता है, फिर वो वापस आना ही है. It's a full cycle.
Let me ask this in a different way. So Sidhant Keshwani throws a party and he has to choose a theme for his friends or whoever he's inviting. What theme would you choose?
I would choose retro.
Okay.
Always. So.
Retro, and preferably like a Bolly?
Yeah, Bollywood retro, yeah.
So we're talking about polka dots and glares and those...
Flares. jeans, etc. So yeah, I actually did that for my wife's birthday recently. Yeah, so in fact, it was a nice party. People were apparently very, wearing very different kinds of clothes. I was wearing those, what do you call those things that you wear on your shirt? I'm forgetting the name.
Things that you wear on your shirt, as it?
It's like a belt kind of a thing that you wear on a shirt, right?
I have no idea, man. My fashion knowledge is absolutely zero. I would say
suspenders. Yeah, suspenders.
So you were suspenders.
Suspenders as a part of the retro theme. So yeah, pretty interesting.
There you go, folks. If you have to host a party, there's a theme. We've got the liquor also sorted. We've got the fashion also sorted. We've got a lot of things sorted. But with that is a wrap on this episode of Paisa Paisa. My guest, Sidhant Keshwani, founder and CEO of ethnic fashion brand Libas. Sidhant, thank you so much for doing this for our listeners.
Thank you. It was a lovely episode. Thank you so much.